Erwin Gelens, Inclusive Journeys, How Schiphol is Putting the European Accessibility Act into Practice. Alicam. Gold sponsors ANZ, Intopia and Telstra. Silver sponsors Canva and Coles. Supporters Rumour, the design recruiter.
Thanks for the introduction, Sarah. So my name was very good. In the Dutch, people say it's very wrong. So it's Gelens, in English Gelens, and it's Schiphol, but it's very difficult to pronounce in English, but very good. Yeah, Schiphol. Okay, thanks. It's an honor to speak to everybody here in this atmosphere. I'm going to talk about the inclusive journey of Schiphol Airport and the European Accessibility Act we're implementing and started in this year. The clicker. So the topics, I will give a short introduction about myself and about Schiphol, our airport in the Netherlands. I will give some main insights about the European Accessibility Act. And I will talk you through the Schiphol's journey so far. So about our approach, the key lessons learned along the way, but also the challenges we still have lie ahead for the coming months and years probably. So about me, since I finished school, I started working for this very nice airport in the Netherlands. So almost working there for 13 years. And I had the chance to do numerous roles at the airport. So working for IT department, a baggage area, the passenger process, the airside process. And in my last role now, I'm responsible for implementing the European Accessibility Act for our airport, but also for our co-makers who are active at our airport. And it's an image about myself. Schiphol, it's funny because when I talked with American airports, they don't know a lot about Schiphol, but when I entered Australia for the first time this week, a lot of people know Schiphol. And what was also very funny, I talked to somebody of the crew, I forgot his name, I didn't take his name into account, but we have a new logo. So he said like, Schiphol has a new logo. So they were talking about it. So since 2 weeks we have a new logo, and in Europe, they're a little bit in the middle of what they think about the logo. So if we speak to each other in the drinks, let me know what you think about our new logo and our new brand styles. But Schiphol is one of the biggest airports in Europe. So it's about number 2 or 3 spots with London Heathrow, Paris, Istanbul, and Amsterdam Airport, Schiphol. It's big because of our connecting flights. So the Netherlands is a very small country. We have 60 million people living, but the most of our customers are traveling and transferring via Schiphol from America, Asia, or Europe to other parts in the world. So we are one of the biggest airports in the world with direct destinations to everywhere in the world. We were last year in spot 4 or 5, and now we're in the top 10 of the world airports connecting destinations. We also have smaller airports in the Netherlands. And we also have stakes in other airports in the world, in America, JFK, and also in Australia, Brisbane, and Hobart International Airport. We have stakes or are working together with these airports. And it's a picture of an airplane at our beautiful airport. So I will continue to talk about the European Accessibility Act. A lot of guidelines were already mentioned before this presentation. So that's also part of this European Accessibility Act. I don't use it when I work, but it's the law. So it became active in Europe this summer, June, and organizations really have to comply to this law. So it's really mandatory. So that's a really good thing also for me to make my work more easier. It's focused on digital accessibility, but also on self-service units and digital parts or access parts where there's direct access between a customer. It's mainly about the use of these things, digitally wise, or buttons where you have to press on. But if the height is not reachable, then you also need to adjust the height. So the self-service unit is also reachable for somebody who's in a wheelchair. So there are many things to take into account for organization in Europe, like ordering food, having some information, having a ticket for the train, you name it. For Schiphol, for the airports, it's about our website, our application, our app, or self-service units. So all the things you are using when you are a passenger, when you are have to check your passport or your boarding pass checks. They're all automatically devices who needs to be more, well, not more, they needs to be accessible for everybody. But also parking ticketing machines, PRM, passengers with reduced mobility, call points. That's a call point where a passenger can ask for help to be guided with our staff. But it also implies for our co-makers. So they are responsible for their own processes, but because they are active at our airport, we are also responsible that they are complying to this European Accessibility Act. And well, about the PRM, the passengers with reduced mobility, we call it in Europe like this. This is like your help with staff, but the European Accessibility Act is really focuses on that you are able to do it by yourself. So without any staff, you can use the products or services at the airport by yourself. So the European Accessibility Act and Schiphol. For us, it's really important, and we really want to implement this law, this guideline. We are standing for inclusive and accessible journey for everybody. So, despite of the law, it's in our DNA of the people who are working at Schiphol to provide this service, and we have to improve on this part a lot. The group of passengers with disability is increasing. So it's really important to improve on this part at our airport. It also has a positive impact on our passenger experience because all our passengers will experience a more smoother process through our airport. And last but not least, I use in my arguments mostly the first three, but it's the law. So we have to comply. So when I have challenging discussions with my colleagues, this is my last argument, we have to comply, otherwise we will get fines. It's a bad thing. Again, a nice picture of our beautiful airport with a sunny sky, but now there's no sunny skies in the Netherlands. It's really great. So, good thing to be in Melbourne. How do we work towards success? So we started this year with implementing the new law. We have a single point of contact. That's me now. So I'm the accessibility manager of the airport. And I'm reporting to the executive committee. I don't have to use it a lot, but it helps to progress some difficult items. And I have a clear mandate for the implementation. So the executive committee is a real sponsor for this act. We developed an action plan, which things we have to improve, which is infected at our airport at the European Accessibility Act. We had great help of our local Dutch Accessibility Foundation. So they're helping us with, they have years of experience on the accessibility team. They're helping us with questions, legal interpretations, user groups, all the things, you name it. They're very helpful for me. And they are working on this topic, on accessibility, but also on the European Accessibility Act for all the big companies in the Netherlands. So when I have a question or a legal department has a question we don't know, then another big organization in the Netherlands also was dealing with this question. So we are helping each other on this topic. It's really nice to work together on this topic in the Netherlands. Communication. I started up with my program immediately when we start with this program on communication. Okay, this is the European Accessibility Act on really clear, understandable slides. It's coming. These are the main topics we have to comply for. We think it's important. And it's the law. So I'm reaching out to all the departments which are involved now, but on an earlier stage, I already reach out to them to prepare for this law. The formation of which I called a winning team. So Schiphol is a very big organization with many departments working on all our airport processes. And I have contact persons of every department. This can be a director, a senior manager, a developer, who also has a mandate and who is very active on working on accessibility. So they are helping me to implement the law on their elements and their products. It's a formal role in my program, but I think everybody in our company is really open-minded to accessibility and willing to help. It's an easy topic to discuss in our organization. Nobody says, I don't have time, or come back 2 weeks later. Everybody's willing to help. That's a very positive thing at Schiphol. I did a lot of benchmarking, so therefore I'm also here to learn from you. But I also did talk with other airports, with other organizations in the Netherlands, in Europe, in the world. A quick scan for airports in Europe on a European Accessibility Act. I cannot say they are not good enough. Schiphol is also part of it, but they have to really step up on their game to improve. So, for all the airports in the world, there are a few who are really good at accessibility, but they're on a certain part. So we are learning on all the different parts to improve for the whole process. And the airports in America, because the law is tougher there, are really good in accessibility. We're also establishing control mechanisms. So user group panels, auditing, not really legally wise now, but to get some insights on where we're standing now and where we need to improve for the coming months and years. We're doing them by ourselves, internal audits, but also external audits by other companies. And our government is also performing audits. So far this year, what are our main insights on this topic? So we started late. I was placed in my role this year. This law we already knew for 5 years. But if you look to all the organizations and also in the Netherlands and Europe, I think if on a scale to 1 to 10, 1 or 2 organizations, they started 5 years ago and are really doing well. The most organizations started this year, and also 1 or 2 or 3 organizations, they have to step up for their game on this law. But some other organizations or train railway organizations, they started early, and we were talking with them, and they're eager to share learnings. So because of other organizations who are further ahead, we can also learn and step up our game. Which I already named before. Everybody in the organization is really cooperative on this topic, so it's easy to discuss and they're really helpful on this topic. Setting up communication and awareness was very important, that everybody knows about the law and have to apply for the law. At our airport, lots of things are managed via a project portfolio. So we have like big investments at the airport. So it's my part, which was also mentioned in the speakers before, on project teams, on programs, that they know the law and that they apply for their projects to implement the law. We have help of a consultancy firm, the Accessibility Foundation. It was very helpful. The partnerships, which I already made before, are very helpful to learn from each other and improve on the accessibility topic. And our government. So the Dutch government is always very hard and challenging on the law, and I think that's a really good thing. Some other departments sometimes had problems with the government, but I proactively engaged with the government. So I was very honest about our approach. I shared all the details about the projects, and it was very positive. So they were willing to help and work on this together. And they were also open into the law that they see a lot of organizations in the Netherlands have to improve on this topic. So they're helping with the approach, and they start handing out fines maybe after 1 or 2 or 3 years. So it helps me, so I have the time to improve. But I'm also not afraid of the fines, because it also helps me for a minute in the organization if I have problems of succeeding. Okay, I'm still good on the time? Yeah? Okay, 5 minutes? Okay, thanks. The challenges we see ahead for implementing this law. So the government is very cooperative at this stage, but it can change. And also sometimes they are more focused into the law than in really the practice use of an asset or a service. So for example, a user group and our development departments can be very happy about their approach, and it's really helpful for people with a disability. But the law states something different, and we have to improve something where the users are very happy. These are some challenges we see ahead. The complexity, well, I can name really a lot, but I think it's the same for your airports. It's the space and the operational flows. When people are arriving and the passport check, we have less space. So we want to integrate the accessibility for all the passengers and not create one single lane, but maybe we have to create more lanes for people with a disability. But that's not where we stand for, because we want to have a service which is accessible for everybody, and that's not named especially for one lane. So that's a challenge for the space to design this kind of flows in our airport processes. Because we have a PRM lane, but again, that's for staff. We're with the staff, and we want these lanes accessible for everybody. Feasibility, so it will cost. It will need researches for contractors. They're on a tight schedule, so now everybody's really cooperative to help. But when we have to pay for it, it will be more challenging for me. But again, it's the law, so we have to put it into place. Embedding it within the organization. So I'm now the manager, but also the program manager. I'm reporting to the board, and we're looking into it to make it like a new role in a right department or reporting to the board, and expanding the team and the support on accessibility. The shared responsibility, so other business partners such as the shops or the co-makers or the airlines, like KLM is the biggest airline in the Netherlands, they're responsible by themselves, but we also feel responsibility for our process and their processes. So we're also working together with them that they also have focus on the European Accessibility Act. And we are involving user groups to receive feedback about their services to improve. Okay, I will go to my last slide. Again, a beautiful image of our airport. That's why I'm working 13 years for our airport. I really like Schiphol. But I'm really open to your feedback, so you can say anything about our airport, especially about accessibility and if you flew at Schiphol. So the conclusion, to finish, we started, and I'm very positive on our approach, also compared to other organizations. But for sure, we're not 100% accessible, so we have to make a lot of steps on this team. That's my story, so I'm looking forward to receive your feedback and also share the learnings you have.
Ali Camp, celebrating 10 years.